Oliver and I have decided to stay up for Game of Thrones, which is at 2 AM, but we also have a car picking us up at 6:20 for our flight to LA at 9:20. So my plan is to film this, have a little nap, wake up and watch Game of Thrones, maybe have, oh my god, I'm even yawning halfway through this sentence. This doesn't bode well. Watch Game of Thrones, maybe have another little nap before I get up and finish off packing all the things that I need for tomorrow, and then I'll just sleep on the plane. I do have work to do, but it's also an 11-hour flight, so it's gonna be fine. So today's word is sparkle, and I was thinking about doing something along the lines of don't let anyone dull your sparkle, but then I thought the videos I've made for a lot of the words have been like, think outside the box, how can I be as creative and clever with these videos as I possibly can. So I thought maybe today I'd go for the more obvious route, because something I always get asked about are my rings. I only wear 4 at a time, 1 on this hand, 3 on this hand, and I get asked about them a lot and about their meanings. Whilst I have said in an Instagram story before what my rings mean to me and why I wear them, Instagram stories disappear. So it'd be nice to make a more permanent video about my rings. However, I am gonna leave out one of my rings because it's very personal to me. Oliver's laptop is so loud. One of my rings I won't be talking about because it's just personal to me, and it's just one of those things that I would like to keep back from the internet. So I'm gonna start with the oldest. The oldest one is this band that I wear at the top, and the reason I wear it on top of this one instead of wearing them on 2 separate fingers is because this one is really big. I need to get it resized, and it would 100% fall off my finger if I didn't wear this one on top of it to stop it. So this ring was given to me when I was 13 years old. It's from my parents. My parents bought a ring for my brother Tom and a ring for me. Mine is a lot thinner than Tom's. He wanted a thicker one and I wanted sort of a daintier one. But engraved on the ring, which I'm gonna have to get re-engraved because it is starting to wear away now. On the outside it says anything can happen, and on the inside it says if you let it. This is a quote from Mary Poppins, which I had recently been in when I was 13 when this ring was bought for me, and it's a quote that I've sort of lived by ever since. Anything can happen if you let it. Sort of going off the back of the last video, which was all about luck. I very much believe in the idea that anything really can happen if you are open to it happening. If you are open-hearted, open-minded, and you embrace all the opportunities that the world throws at you, anything really can happen. And my mum and my dad very much believe in that as well, and I feel like it's something that they've really tried to instill in me and my brother as we've grown older. So it feels really nice and very poignant and very meaningful to have that on a ring that I wear every day. I literally never take these 3 rings off. They never come off unless I'm doing a show and a performance. This one is a little bit too big, so I do take it off to sleep because it's quite chunky. So moving on to this ring. This is the ring that everyone's like, oh my god, I love your ring's really glitzy, where's it from? It was £19.99 from TK Maxx. It must look really expensive, but it was literally less than 20 quid from a high street shop. I cannot remember for the life of me what the brand was. I bought it in Bath, and I bought it in a bit of a rush because this was actually my engagement ring as Wednesday Addams that I used in the show for the majority of the tour. The ring that I was given by the wardrobe team turned copper, like all of the silver plating came off within about 4 weeks of being on tour. It turned my finger green. It was, it looked like a piece of tin after I'd worn it for about 30 shows. And I was a little bit worried, what with the budget for tours and shows, especially props as small as a ring that can't really be seen from the audience. I was worried that if I requested for a new ring to be bought for the show, that they would say no. So I just took matters into my own hands and just went and bought a new ring for the show. So when the time came for the show to come to an end, I didn't feel bad about stealing it because I had bought it. It's plastic. I genuinely think, or it's like glass. I genuinely think it's plastic. That's not a real anything in there. I'm pretty sure it's a bit of plastic, but it is a sterling silver ring, so I knew when I bought it wasn't going to do the same thing and turn my finger green. It's starting to wear away at the bottom, so realistically I don't really know how much longer it's going to last me, but because it's from a show and it did the entirety of the Addams tour with me, bar like the first 4 or 5 weeks, and also because it's from the show in which I met Oliver, I feel like I've got a connection to him with this ring as well. So yeah, that's the ring that I wear on the middle finger of my left hand. And finally, this is my newest addition, is my big orange amber ring. It's got a little leaf or maybe a lily on the side, I'm not entirely sure. I bought this when I was on tour with War of the Worlds this December just gone, and I was walking past a shop called Silver Scene, I think is what it was called, Silver Scene or Silver Scenes. I'm a little bit of a magpie when it comes to rings. I do like my rings, I like my jewellery, so I saw this shop and was like, ooh, I want to go and have a look in the window. And I saw this ring and I just had that feeling of knowing that if I walked away from it, it's all I would think about. I just knew I would regret not at least going in and trying it on. So I walked in and asked the lovely lady behind the counter whether I'd be able to try the ring on, and she said, I warn you now though, all of our rings are one of a kind, so if it doesn't fit, we don't have another one in another size that you can try. So she warned me not to get my hopes up just in case it wasn't meant to be. So she opened up the cabinet, took it off the little stand thing and handed it to me, and I just went, yeah, I'll take it please. It was £56 and I was like, look, I'm being paid well in this job, it's fine, I need this ring. It feels important that I have this ring. I don't like buying luxury items. I really build myself up to buying something luxury for myself. I think the most expensive thing I've ever bought myself is my laptop. It sort of pays for itself in that all of the work that I do that earns my income pays for the laptop. So that's kind of how I justify buying my laptop. But with other things, I own 0 designer clothes. I don't own any designer handbags. I sort of save everything up to go on holiday. When I come back to real life, I kind of funnel everything I earn into bigger things like my mortgage and the bills to pay and the groceries. So I very rarely buy myself things like expensive jewellery. And even then, as far as jewellery goes, it wasn't like the most expensive ring, but it just felt like a real treat when I bought it, and I was just very, very excited. And it's also spurred on this idea that I want to get a ring for every show that I'm in. Jacqueline Wilson does that with books that she writes. Every time she has a new book published, she buys herself a new ring, which means her hands are just covered in rings. I have a ring for Addams, I have a ring for War of the Worlds now. I did have a ring for Veronica, but it was one of those rings that was like silver plated instead of actually sterling silver, so it did turn my finger green. I used to hate wearing rings. I used to feel like it was weighing my hands down. Wearing rings a few years ago to me was like how I feel about wearing bracelets now. I can't wear bracelets. Bracelets drive me mad. Whereas my rings all feel very secure. I don't feel like they're gonna come off. I've done the shake test. But years ago, you wouldn't have caught me dead wearing a ring just because I hated the feeling of it on my hand. But now, I love my rings and I want to wear more. So that is my contribution to the word sparkle, my sparkly rings. And I will see you tomorrow.